Welcome. This is Lifestyle and Immunity is the name of this 4-part course. By the way, for those that don't know me, I'm Kelly Kinsley. I'm a physician, and this is my daughter, Anya. She's a nurse. This is basically to look at simple ways to improve your health from the inside out. And we're looking at it from the standpoint of immunity, since here in the age of COVID, this has been prominent on everybody's mind, and we will be looking at that. There'll be 4 classes. The first one is to understand the basic structure and function of our immune system, and that's what we'll be covering tonight. The second one will be to learn how coronavirus 2 specifically affects the body and how we defend against it. And the third and fourth one will be discovering just lifestyle choices that can weaken the immune system or increase our risk for illness. And our fourth one, optimize our health to optimize our immune function, not just for COVID-19, but for the next pandemic. So again, tonight, we're going to be focusing in on the immune system. And the immune system is extremely complex, but we're going to just kind of keep it basic, give it kind of a broad overview of this. And the question is, why do we need to know about our immune system? And I think this quote from Harvard Medical School, one of their websites, is very pertinent. It says, we live in a microbial world, which means that we constantly encounter microorganisms that can harm our health. The human immune system continuously defends us against these threats to our survival. And understanding how immunity works is important to making sense of some of the news that we hear, and also the risk of spreading and treatment of diseases of not just COVID-19, but other diseases like this. We want to start with just a short video that gives you an overview, a broad spectrum picture of what the immune system is like. So we will watch that. Okay, isn't that amazing? And that's just a brief summary of how the immune system interacts. The interactions are so vast and so incredibly specific. And it's really amazing to imagine how that just goes on in the background, and we're not even aware of all that's going on there. Just in general, the body's natural defense is made up of a network of molecules, tissues, and organs working together to protect our body. That's the immune system, and it's crucial for preventing not only infection, but it's working all the time, even when you have aberrations of your own cells. So cancerous cells, things that are just starting to develop, your immune system is recognizing that and taking those out before something can take root if it doesn't belong there. I remember watching Sesame Street when growing up, and there was this song that they would always sing, one of these things just doesn't belong. So your immune system is constantly recognizing what doesn't belong there and is removing it.
This is an acronym called Restore Life that we came up with, and basically it is comprised of different simple principles that we will be talking about more in depth in the last lecture, especially a little bit as we go along, but different principles that can help optimize your immune system so you have the best functioning immune system that you can.
The immune system, we're going to think of it as we kind of break down the summary that we looked at. We're going to look at 3 things: activation, function, and structures, as we look at this overview of the immune system.
So we'll start off with activation. And your immune system is activated by antigens that are sensed by your immune cells, resulting in an immune response. So what is an antigen? The video basically covered this, but briefly, an antigen is made up of little proteins that are on cells or non-living substances. This can be viruses, toxins, chemicals, and they basically act as IDs, flags of identification. And antigens is something that your body considers to be foreign or non-self. And your cells actually have a self-antigen that's on the outside of their cells, and this is recognized as non-harmful. And so your immune system is designed to recognize the foreign antigens and to attack and eliminate those.
When we think about the function of the immune system, there are basically four general functions. But in general, we think of function as either healthy or unhealthy because the immune system can be functioning in an unhealthy way. But specifically, the healthy functions of the immune system can be broken down to number one, just the barrier that prevents pathogens from entering the body. So we think about our skin, our mucous membranes, some bacterial layers of normal bacteria. Those all are things that are barriers that can protect us. Um, the second general function is to identify the invaders, so identify the antigens as they come in, identify something that is not normal. And then number three would be to eliminate those. And number four would be to generate an immunological memory so that if you see them again, you are ready for it and you don't have to go through the whole process again. Healthy immune functions, first of all, will protect the body by preventing or limiting sickness or infections of harmful pathogens, will successfully recognize and fight off and remove disease-causing pathogens and foreign substances, and will be able to distinguish between healthy and unhealthy cells, between self and invaders. Unhealthy functions would be a suppressed immune response that's poorly responding, that's weak, malfunctioning, often leading to increased infection or severity infection or a longer illness. An overactive immune response is also abnormal as well. So hypersensitivities that can come where the immune system doesn't turn off. You heard in the video how there's signals or there's pre-programmed duration of some cells to act, because if they act too long, they will start to cause harm to the body. But overactivity, examples of immune responses that are overactive would be like allergies or asthma, autoimmune diseases like lupus or even rheumatoid arthritis. There's some overactive immune diseases that have a hard time recognizing self. So unhealthy immune function will see itself or a part of itself as harmful. Some skin situations like that are things like vitiligo, where the body sets up an immune response against your pigment cells and causes loss of pigment. Or there are types of alopecia or loss of hair where your body sets up autoimmune responses against its own normal hair follicles. So there's a confusion about self and non-self things. An efficient immune system, the crucial thing is finding balance. So will protect itself against disease and disorders, but will not be overactive. Too much or too little of the wrong immune response will cause a disorder.
So now that we've looked at how your immune system functions and responds to antigens, let's take a look at the structures and components that make up how your body responds. And we'll talk about basic structures and organs, as well as the two main branches of the immune system later on, the innate and the adaptive immune system. So basic structures, we have our barrier organs like the skin, the mucous membranes, like was mentioned, the beneficial bacteria that's in our gut, as well as antimicrobial substances in our saliva and tears. Also, reflexes such as the cough and sneeze reflex can also help expel foreign particles and dust and things that might get into your lungs. As far as lymphatic organ goes, you have the bone marrow and the thymus. These are considered primary. And you also have the lymph nodes and the spleen and the tonsils. So the skin is the largest organ in the body. And like we mentioned, it's a physical protective barrier. And because of that, it is the first line of defense. So this makes taking care of your skin especially important. Because if your skin breaks down because of a cut or just wear and tear, it's an automatic opening vulnerability for different things to get into your body. The skin also contains immune cells as well as lymphatic and blood vessels to help with anything that might enter into your skin that is foreign, as well as aid in immune cell transportation and communication, and nutrients and other things that need to get to your skin. Mucous membranes, again, it's a barrier structure and part of the physical protection for your body. It lines the inner membrane, so basically your mouth all the way through your esophagus, your lungs, your stomach, your intestines. It lines all of that. And it's basically there to help trap pathogens, catch them in the stickiness, I guess, of the membrane to prevent them from actually going into your body. It also contains immune cells to try to eliminate any foreign invaders that might try to get in via the mucous membranes, and also lots of antimicrobial substances. And the purpose is basically to create a trap and make a environment that is inhospitable to foreign invaders. And something that's important for maintaining your skin as well as your mucous membrane is to drink sufficient amount of water. Keeps your skin hydrated, helps with circulation. It also ensures that you have moist, healthy working mucous membranes to trap those foreign invaders.
Within the mucous membranes is a layer of beneficial bacteria, not just mucous membranes, actually, not just in the gut, but all mucous membranes, and also on the skin. So the concept of a microbiome, so normal bacterial and microorganism flora that exists on our skin and in our gut and on our body, is kind of an occupier. So it's safe occupiers. Think of it as really good tenants to your home, right? So you're renting your home to tenants, and these are tenants that take care of your home. Whereas the invaders come in, if the tenants are there, the microbiome is intact and healthy, then there's less room for invaders to come in and actually do the disruption that they want to do. The beneficial bacteria consume resources that bad bacteria would be looking for. They consume space and attachment places. So these are the benefits of the microbiome. So they inhabit our skin, our mucous membranes, they aid in digestion, it aids in the immune response, and again, creates a scarcity of resources and protects against a variety of infections. And obviously, what exists in our gut, specifically in our microbiome, is impacted by what we eat. And we'll be talking more specifically about some of these things later. But again, we're just touching on these principles, restore life principles that come into play along the way.
And antimicrobial substances are very much a part of the barrier structure of the immune system. It's made up of different proteins and enzymes in the tears and saliva and the skin and membranes of your body that just help make your body an inhospitable place for foreign invaders. And stomach acid and urine also have a specific pH that is also, when optimal, designed to prevent growth and habitation of would-be foreigners and kill anything that might rise into your stomach. So the bone marrow, it's a primary lymphatic organ. It's basically where a lot of your immune cells begin and grow before they travel to different areas of your body. So it's very important to have healthy bones. It's also the place where your red blood cells and platelets develop as well. And from your bone, you have two different lines of immune cells that develop. You have your myeloid progenitor cells and your lymphoid progenitor cells. And each of those categories play specific roles in the immune system, and we'll hit on that later. For bone health, it's important to exercise regularly and stay hydrated and eat well. Eating well is important. Quality in, quality out makes it so that the cells you produce are quality. And staying hydrated helps with circulation, helps the immune cells move from the bone where they need to go. And exercise is good for overall bone health.
The thymus is a primary lymphatic organ. We don't often think about it. It's pretty small, sits right behind the sternum, the upper part of the sternum. Actually shrinks kind of like tonsillar tissue as we age, but it's one of the primary lymphatic organs that's the final training ground and maturation site for T cells in the immune system. T cells are super important. And so they filter through the thymus. Think of the thymus as like T cell boot camp. And then once they go through boot camp in the thymus, then they get stationed at various lymph nodes throughout the body. The thymus will also eliminate any malfunctioning T cells that are working to attack our cells. So they kind of know who the naughty soldiers are and they put them in the brig. Things that we eat obviously can impact, again, our immune system and how it works, and specifically in T cell development, there are some micronutrients and minerals and vitamins that are really important when it comes to this. So looking for whole foods and plant-based foods that are high in these nutrients can be helpful at optimizing our function.
And we'll tell you what those are in the last lecture, so stay tuned. So the lymph node and the lymph system is kind of like your blood vessel system, but instead of being for blood, it's specific for your immune cells. And it's very important in cell-to-cell communication and transportation of immune cells throughout your body. The lymph nodes are basically like headquarters, little communication hubs for your cells to interact and to share bits and pieces of the pathogens so that you can adequately respond to it. It also acts as a pathogen filter and a place for destruction. And it's also a place where the T cells also learn to eliminate invaders. So they also have continued education in that area. And the spleen, it stores immune cells, mainly the T cells and the B cells and the monocytes. And it also acts as a filter for different immune cells. And it kind of processes and eliminates old blood cells and platelets and things you don't need. It's also a place where communication happens between the immune cells. And you can function without a spleen, but your immune system is a little bit more susceptible to different bacterial invaders. This is getting kind of old, but liquid and drinking water is very important for aiding in circulation and to make sure that your blood is running smoothly so that it can be filtered by the spleen.
Tonsils, we've all heard about tonsils and adenoids, and some of us have had those removed. These are secondary lymphatic organs. Of course, we can function without them, but they do have a role in the lymphatic system and in fighting in the oral respiratory tract. There are two branches of the immune system. One is the innate immune system. This is the one that everybody comes with the standard package. Okay, so this is the standard Tesla without all the bells and whistles on it, or the standard vehicle. And everybody has this. We're born with these, and these are the first responders that we have: macrophages, neutrophils, things that come and clean up. And then the adaptive immune system is the second branch of the immune system. And this is the part that was referred to where you're specifically learning, you're identifying a specific antigen, you're taking that back to your lymph nodes, and your T cells and your B cells are being taught and trained in a very specific way to fight that specific infection. And since we don't all have the same exposures, then we don't all have the same adaptive immune system. It goes along depending on what we're exposed to. So our innate immune system, the one that we all have, our standard package, has two lines of defense. And we've already kind of touched on these when we talked about structure. And that's the first line of defense is the castle wall. That's your skin, your mucous membranes, the microbiome, the healthy bacteria and organisms that we have on our skin that compete out invaders. The second line of defense, these are the first responders or the security checkpoint. And these are the inflammatory response that takes place where the white blood cells come in, the macrophages, and they signal leaking blood vessels, and they increase fluid to an area which is identified by swelling and more inflammatory cells coming in. These are our first responders, part of that innate immune system, and they create an inflammatory response. So the question is
inflammation a bad thing? And in general, no, inflammation is, as we just heard, part of your immune system. It's part of your body's first line of defense. It's not a bad thing in general. It's meant to aid in restoration and helping to restore balance to health. It aids in immune function by increasing fluid to the area, signified by swelling, and that helps trap whatever foreign invader is to that area. And it also helps with ease of movement of immune cells to the specific area of invasion. However, in excess, or if it's uncontrolled, or if it's prolonged, then inflammation can become a bad thing. Like we heard, it's supposed to shut off a certain time, and if it doesn't, then it starts to damage normal, healthy cells around it. Some diseases like diabetes also come with a low-grade level of inflammation naturally as the disease state. And there are different things you can do via lifestyle to help decrease your body's inflammation and reverse some of those things.
I can think of a skin disease that has low-grade inflammation. So psoriasis is an overactive immune system in the skin, but we know that people with psoriasis have just in general increased inflammation and are at increased risk for heart disease, for example, because of the inflammatory nature that it affects the blood vessels, and people are at increased risk for that with that background inflammation. We talked about the second branch or arm of the immune system is the adaptive immune system. And you can think of this as the special ops. So this is where the special training is going on, and the special ops soldiers of your immune system are being prepared, some specific B cells and T cells that are coming to an area with special designed receptors to attack a specific invader. So for coronavirus, it could be the spike protein, or for any bacteria, it could be some other protein that's on the outer coating of it. And then there's also the learning that takes place for future. So not only are there special B cells and T cells that are generated for a specific infection, but there are memory B cells and T cells that your body will hold on to for years and years. So it's not short-lived for months or weeks, but the memory cells will stay on for years so that it's ready in the event that they see that invader again to come right to the site of action, and it doesn't take any time to develop. Those special ops are already trained. You have special ops already for every invader that's in your body. You have a special ops unit all ready to go. And when you think of how many antigens you might be exposed to in your lifetime, and then how many of those special ops teams you have ready, it's amazing to think of that. So all immune cells come from the precursors in the bone marrow, Anya mentioned, and they differentiate into specific specialized cells. So this is kind of a chart breakdown of how they develop, with the gray cell being the primary stem cell that branches off in either a lymphoid line or a myeloid line. And then the myeloid line, we can look at that, is really most of these cells in the myeloid line are part of the innate immune system. Things like mast cells and neutrophils and eosinophils and monocytes, which when they get to the tissue become macrophages and basophils. And these have various functions that release inflammatory mediators and cytokines. The dendritic cells actually digest the foreign invader and present proteins to teach your T cells and B cells. So they actually are activating the other part of the immune system. So all of these are circulating and coming in to invade, to phagocytize, or to break down, to ingest and digest any invader. The adaptive immune system comes more from the lymphocytic line, and these are B cells and various types of T cells, and they called natural killer cells. And these are specifically targeted and trained in a specific way in the special ops department. And again, for all of these things, exercise, maintaining good circulation through your body, staying hydrated, eating well, all of these things are going to impact your immune system in a positive way. So by all of these things, with our nutrition is going to help increase and maintain our energy needs so our immune system can function and respond as it needs. It's going to increase cell replication so that the army can respond when it needs to. It's going to provide vitamins and micronutrients for all of these processes to take place. And the key to all of this is balance, right?
Maintaining balance. And I just want to make a note that the Earth is located in a very specific place that is optimal for life. And it's the same with our bodies. There's a very specific balance that is needed to maintain optimal immune function. There are lots of natural foods in our environments that help promote that naturally. And so restore life, all the different little aspects here that we've broken it down to all play a role in maintaining and helping to optimize your immune function. And I will also say they also aid in other areas, if not all areas of your life. If you're wanting to promote health today as well as tomorrow, all these things would be things that you would benefit from.
Okay, well, our goal tonight was to just give you an overview of your immune system, one, how vast and complex it is, and how I'm in awe every time I think about it. Every time I have a test on the immune system, I have to delve and study and study and study because it's so complex, and to learn and remember all these things is crazy. But I think the most important thing is what Anya said, is that it is a very precise, fine-tuned machine and balance that is working in an amazing way every day. Our next class is going to specifically look at how the novel SARS-CoV-19 virus interacts with our body and our immune system. This will relate to a lot of things that we've heard in the news, things that are key to our mind about immune response, how lasting that immune response may or may not be, and also vaccines, how our body responds in a vaccine. And again, how to optimize our function of our immune system. Will continue to go deeper and deeper in that as each class goes along.
And that's the end of our first class. Thank you everyone for attending. If there's any questions, you can unmute yourself and we'll do our best to answer those.